The Denver Broncos are finally out of the Russell Wilson cap situation as they have money to play with this offseason. So, Ryan and I, we are going to do our first mock free agency for the Denver Broncos here in a moment. But before we do that, if you have not already, hit that subscribe button, tackle that bell to get notified when videos come out. And while you're at it, leave a like and a comment. Let us know what you want to see the Broncos do this offseason. And Ryan, let's get into it here.
Let's do it.
So, as I mentioned, the Broncos, first time in a long time where they are in a decent cap situation. They even still have, I think, I saw 30 million in like dead cap when it comes to Russell Wilson, something along that. So they're coming in
Mhm.
with about 42 million in cap space as of the recording of this video, first day of March, the year 2025. And so here are just the free agents that they have right now. Some big names, but at the same time, though, too, the Broncos did a lot with a little. And so I think they have an
Yeah.
opportunity to re-sign a couple guys here, but also make a big splash overall in free agency while really addressing some of their needs on the offensive side of the ball in the draft. So want to throw it over to you. What are some of the big names that you see here that they're going to be spending a lot of time talking about this offseason on whether to keep or not keep on the roster?
Yeah, I think I start at the top. So this is organized by snap. So Cody Barton, Jaquan McMillan, Javonte Williams, DJ Jones. Like there are a few guys I think at the top that are really going to be um, talked about heavily. And I think even like a little further down, Trey Sermon, you have the backup quarterbacks. They keep one of those guys just for continuity's sake. Keep a higher level backup. And so I think there's a lot of interesting routes that the Broncos could go in this year's free agency. We probably won't talk too much about them after this, just because we don't really deal with the like lower roster contracts, just because those guys are often replaced by guys that are of similar value contract wise. So I feel like just kind of jumping right into things. We'll start with internal free agency. So the first part of internal free agency, we go through, we clear up some cap space. So the Broncos started this process with about $42 million in open cap space, and so we cut PJ Locke, cleared up about 4.2 million dollars in cap space there. We also cut Damari Mathis, cleared up about another 3.5 million there. Both these guys could just that cap space could be used better elsewhere, puts them at about $50 million in available cap space to go out and spend. And I think with some of the moves that we're going to make, I think that that's going to be much needed cap space at the end of this process.
Exactly. Yeah. And so trying to improve on some of the weaknesses, especially on the defensive side of the ball here. I think the free agency that you're about to see here is going to mainly be focused on the defensive side of the ball as Sean Payton is going to, is going to be able to draft. I think some of the young skill position players that we're going to see here. So moving on to some of the guys that we did resign internally is so the offensive line is looking good as well. But I think on the defensive side of the ball, you want to keep those trenches intact. And so resign DJ Jones. He's projected about $11 million a year. So resign him for a couple million. Sorry, for a couple years at $11 million each year. And then at the same time, then too, as well, if you want to scroll up, re-sign Cody Barton as well. Cody Barton really stepped some things up, especially too with Alex Singleton going down as well. So keep him there, re-sign him. He's just younger. He's not coming off an ACL injury like Alex Singleton. So
Mhm.
I can see it going both ways. And then at the same time too, then just for clarification to what Alex Singleton would be. Oh well, sorry. Alex Singleton is still on contract. My
Yeah.
apologies. I was thinking of a different linebacker. So put Cody Barton next with Alex Singleton as well. Him coming back to ACL injury. And I think ACLs are much more common to come back from than something like an Achilles injury as well. So especially nowadays with modern medicine. So my apologies. I was thinking about a different linebacker that we didn't end up re-signing, Justin Stranard or
Yeah.
Stranad. I don't know how you pronounce that. So
Strenad, I think.
Stranad.
I don't
I
know.
like it.
Yeah.
So, well, he's Stranad going to be on the Broncos next year. So, uh, but those were the two main signings that we did where it comes to kind of putting in splash. I bet they could re-sign Javonte Williams for a couple bucks if they wanted to as well. But they do have Audric Estime, and then they do still have the other running back as well. The McMillan.
I can't.
Jaleel McLaughlin as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
maybe they go that route, then they can definitely get another running back in this class as well, as the Broncos have 7 picks. And I could see them going a different route, of maybe drafting a rookie running back, and then by the end of the season, let's say you go get Travion Henderson, he's gonna be the main back that Sean Payton wants to go and have, or Quinton Judkins as
yeah.
well. And so those are the 2 main ones that we re-signed as of right there. Would love to hear anybody else's thoughts on some other guys that we might sign, but you kinda make the cuts that we made with PJ Lock, because we think if there's one big area where the Broncos could improve on the defensive side of the ball, it's going to be in that free safety position as well. And Jevon Holland hitting free agency, Miami, I don't believe is going to be able to keep him. They're going to let him test free agency, and I think if you put him back there, you're going to have Jevon Holland uh, covering deep as well. You're going to have Pat Surtain on the as your number one corner, he's one of the best corners in the league as well. You're going to have Brandon Jones in there as your strong safety, and then you are going to have Riley Moss, who could improve on a little bit as well. So I can maybe see that as well. But even worst case scenario, he can kick into nickel corner, and then you can draft another outside corner as well. And I really like the way that this defense is shaping up here, as the
Mhm.
Broncos were one of the best defenses last year as well, really thanks to the pressure and what that front seven was doing. So then getting a lockdown free safety like that, really being able to roam the field and have that single high, something similar to what Atlanta has with Jesse Bates. I think this
Yeah,
defense could take another step forward as well,
yeah.
and taking even less pressure off of the offense here. So that's the route that we ended up going. Partially, then also too with the way this draft is set up and how Sean Payton wants to uh, get some younger guys in that room that really fits his system. I think it's going to help out Bo Nix a lot going that route here. So
Mhm.
love to hear some of y'all's thoughts. But Ryan, I think anything else from your end on maybe some other moves they could make if they end up not re-signing Jevon Holland?
I mean, they could go for the division rival Trayvon Moreg. I think that would save them a couple bucks there. But then I like other than that, I really like this move. I think that sets themselves up well. They have a really solid base of the roster, and I just think adding like a top tier talent like Javon Holland puts them over the edge rather than if they're a team rebuilding like the Patriots are, where it's like they just need a lot of good players. I think
Yeah,
that like you could spread out that $18.5 million over 2 or 3 like really good players. Then I think going out and making a splash signing here for Javon Holland makes a lot of sense for this team. We were talking too. Now I think that frees you up in the draft. You can go get that interior offensive lineman. You can go get that running back, wide receiver, tight end in the first round. And I think all those guys can come in and contribute. Like think Colston Loveland, Emeka Egbuka, Tyler Booker, Amarian Hampton. Like they're going to be right in that range kind of for all of those guys. And I just think that there's a lot of flexibility now for the Broncos on that offensive side, and it allows Sean
exactly.
Payton to go out and draft somebody that he really likes. So all in all, I think for the Broncos, they're in a really good spot. I'm very excited to see what this team looks like in year 2 of the Bo Nix era. I didn't think I'd be saying that this time last year, but they were a solid team. They were fun to watch, and they really hit that stride there from I think weeks like 12 to 16, where they looked really competitive. They looked really solid, and so hopefully they can stretch that out over a full season here in year 2.
Exactly. I agree.
So, with that being said, let's go ahead. Let's wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of this Denver Broncos mock free agency. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? And other than that, we'll see you guys next time.